Imagine waking up one day with a sense that something essential is missing. A part of you that once connected you deeply to life now feels silent or ignored. What if that overlooked piece of your body holds a powerful secret for releasing the tension, the stuck energy, and the overwhelm you often carry? In many spiritual teachings, the base of the spine, what we commonly call the coccyx, is more than just a vestigial bone. Seen through the lens of ancient wisdom, it becomes an energetic antenna, a grounding root, a channel for excess buildup to flow back into the earth. When you grasp this, you open a doorway to inner balance and genuine peace. Let's explore this together in a simple, down-to-earth way. The forgotten root. Long ago, cultures around the world regarded the human body as a temple, where every part had meaning. The coccyx was sometimes whispered about as the tail or root of our energy. Today, most of us dismiss it as an evolutionary leftover. Yet ancient traditions, from Andean shamans to Tibetan yogis, from Hindu sages to subtle Christian mystics, hint that this small bone is more than anatomy. It's a bridge between inner currents and the life force of the planet. In some Andean shamanic views, the soul is tethered both upward to higher realms and downward to the earth. The downward cord begins at the base of the spine, anchoring subtle experiences to daily life. Tibetan teachings speak of Kundalini coiled at the spine's root, needing safe guidance downward as much as upward to avoid overwhelm. Hindu texts name the Muladhara, root, chakra at that same place, describing the spine as a cosmic tree with roots that must dig deep before its branches can rise high. A few Christian mystics described a purifying fire that ascends from the lowest spot in the body, cleansing the whole being, again pointing to the sacral or sacrum area as essential. All these hints converge. To awaken higher states, we must also honor what lies below. The coccyx is less a relic of evolution and more an access point for grounding energy. Why grounding matters. In modern life, we accumulate mental noise, emotional turbulence, stress from endless obligations, and subtle impressions from others' moods. This builds like static electricity in a cloud. If there's no safe path for discharge, the tension lingers or finds unhealthy outlets. Restless sleep, anxiety, brain fog, hypersensitivity, even unexplained physical complaints. Without a grounding channel, energy turns stagnant or erratic. Picture a lightning storm. The cloud charges up until it must release energy to avoid destructive lightning strikes. In our subtle system, unresolved feelings, unexpressed stress, and absorbed energies from the environment can overload us if they have nowhere to go. The coccyx, as a grounding root, offers that outlet. By consciously connecting to Earth's stabilizing vibration, we let excess flow downward, rather than swirling indefinitely around our mind or causing internal short circuits. Over time, this can shift patterns of reactivity into calmer presence. Feeling the disconnection. Many people sense this disconnection as a vague unrest. You might notice a constant mental chatter that seems impossible to quiet, a feeling of heaviness or fatigue that meditation alone does not resolve, a tendency to pick up on others' emotions, leaving you drained, physical tension or discomfort around the lower back, hips, or legs, difficulty staying present in the body, as if you live mainly in your head. When the base of your energetic column feels neglected, you lose an anchor. You may strive to ascend, to think more, meditate more, reach for higher states, but without roots, every ascent can feel shaky or temporary. Real stability arises when you combine upward openness with downward grounding, rediscovering the Coccyx's role. How can we understand the Coccyx as an energetic channel? Imagine it as a plug or socket linking you to Earth's magnetic field. On the surface, it looks like a small bone. Energetically, it is the root of an energy column supporting the subtle bodies, emotional, mental, spiritual, flowing through the spine. When open, it allows built-up charge to return and be transformed by the planet's yin, receptive qualities. When blocked, energy accumulates above, like water behind a dam. This doesn't mean simply dumping negative stuff into the ground. It's a two-way exchange. Earth receives what no longer serves, but also offers its nourishing stability back. You might notice a sense of relief, clarity, warmth, or steadiness when this channel is active. Over time, your nervous system becomes more resilient. You respond to stress with more ease, sleep more deeply, and feel less swept away by emotions. Common blocks and subtle signals. The channel at the Coccyx can be blocked by many things. Chronic tension, habitual tightness in the lower back, hips, or pelvic area restricts subtle flow. Emotional suppression, stored grief, fear, guilt, or shame kept in the body can accumulate around the sacrum. Limiting beliefs, stories about unworthiness or disconnection from nature can reinforce a felt separation. Trauma, physical or emotional wounds, especially early life imprints, may close the root channel unconsciously. Lifestyle factors, sitting long hours, lack of movement, or always staying in your head without body awareness. Signs that the grounding channel is underactive include persistent anxiety, restless thinking, insomnia, feeling unmoored, or difficulty embodying calm even in spiritual practice. You might feel drawn to practices that rush energy upward, chasing bliss or insights, yet find yourself more frazzled afterward. This pattern suggests the need to cultivate the downward current as much as the upward. Cultivating the connection, reconnecting to this root doesn't require complex rituals. It starts with simple, mindful attention and gentle practices that honor the body and earth. Below are a few avenues, presented as core themes rather than a checklist, to integrate into daily life. Awareness of the base. Begin by turning your attention to the base of your spine. In moments of calm, sitting, standing, or lying down, scan your awareness toward that small bone at the tail end. Rather than thinking about it, feel it. Sense its weight, its contact with whatever supports you. Visualize an energetic root extending from there into the ground, reaching down into the Earth's core. This mental image helps open the channel. Over time, you may notice subtle sensations, warmth, tingling, or a gentle flow downward. Grounding posture and breath posture shapes energy. When sitting or standing, keep your spine straight but relaxed, allowing the base to settle downward. Breathe deeply into your lower belly, inviting your exhalation to soften any tension around the sacrum. With each inhale, Imagine drawing stabilizing energy up from the earth through the coccyx. With each exhale, imagine releasing excess into the ground. This cyclical dance cultivates a felt sense of support. Barefoot connection. Whenever possible, remove shoes and feel the earth directly under your feet. Grass, soil, sand, or natural surfaces. Our feet are extensions of the grounding circuit. Walking barefoot stimulates energy points and reminds the body of its link to the land. Even a few minutes daily can reinforce the downward flow, especially when combined with the mindful visualization of roots from the coccyx reaching into the ground. Gentle movement that focuses on the pelvis and lower spine can awaken the root channel. It need not be elaborate. Gentle swaying, rocking, or simple hip circles shift stagnant energy around the sacral area. Indigenous dances, traditional spinal movements in yoga, or primal shaking practices all aim to free blockages and invite energy downward. When moving, keep awareness on the base, allowing momentum to guide energy release rather than forcing any particular shape. Grounded sitting. When overwhelmed mentally or emotionally, resist the impulse to chase higher states. Instead, choose to sit on the floor with your body touching the ground. This simple act brings you back to basics. Close your eyes, breathe into your coccyx, and let your awareness descend. Picture a spiral of energy carrying stress, worry, or heaviness down through your sacrum into the earth's core. There is no need to fix anything with thought. Simply allow the ground to absorb what you relate to. Honoring the coccyx shift, how you talk to yourself about that bone. Instead of dismissing it as useless, acknowledge it as an ally in your well-being. You might place a gentle hand on the base of your spine and silently set an intention. Help me ground and release what no longer serves. Some traditions tap or lightly vibrate the sacrum area to awaken awareness there. Even such small gestures, if done with honest intention, can remind your body of this hidden technology. The alchemy of descent and ascent. True spiritual growth balances rising and rooting. If you focus only on ascending, seeking insight, visions, or lofty states, without grounding, first, the experience can feel unstable or lead to burnout. Conversely, pure grounding without openness to higher perspective can feel heavy or stuck. The coccyx teaches a fundamental principle. To fly high, you must be deeply rooted. The earth is not just a dumping ground. It's an alchemical crucible where heavy emotions and noise transform into clarity and resilience. When released downward, energy is recycled by the planet's receptive vibration and returned as subtle nourishment. In many spiritual models, this dance is described as integrating opposites: fire and earth, light and shadow, creativity and rest. The coccyx acts as a hinge. One leg of the spectrum reaches skyward, the other digs into the soil. By consciously engaging this hinge, your system becomes a bridge where energy flows harmoniously rather than fragmenting. Embracing what arises, opening the root channel, often brings up what has been buried: fears, old pains, deeply held stories. This can feel uncomfortable, yet it is a sign the channel is working. When you allow buried layers to surface and then send them downward into the earth's transforming presence, you lighten your inner load. Over time, this builds trust in your ability to process rather than suppress. You learn that surrendering to the ground does not deplete you. It replenishes you by clearing space for fresh, balanced energy. Be patient and kind with yourself. Some days, the flow may feel strong and grounding practice effortless. Other days, you may sense resistance or blockages. That is natural. Like tending a garden, you notice where the soil is rich and where it needs tending. Use gentle movement, breath, or simple attention to nurture the channel. If emotions arise, allow them to move through rather than clinging or pushing them away. The earth can handle what you release. Integrating into daily life. Spiritual practice need not be separate from everyday activities. Grounding awareness can weave into all you do. Morning check-in. Before starting the day, pause for a moment. Stand or sit. Feel the base of your spine. Breathe and visualize roots connecting you to stability. Set an intention to stay rooted even as challenges arise. Walking breaks. During the day, step outside if possible. Walk barefoot on natural ground or, if that's not available, imagine the soles of your feet connecting downward. Notice how this shifts your energy. Desk posture. If you sit long hours, place a cushion or rolled cloth so your sitting bones settle evenly. Keep your spine aligned and occasionally bring awareness to the coccyx, softening tension. Evening unwinding. Rather than scrolling endlessly, try a short practice of lying on the floor or sitting with legs extended. Bring attention to your root. Breathe out the day's stress downward, trusting the earth to receive it. Creative work. Before diving into tasks requiring mental focus, ground yourself briefly. This can sharpen clarity and reduce anxiety around performance. Emotional moments. If you feel overwhelmed, instead of reacting immediately, take a pause and imagine sending the intensity downward. This can prevent impulsive responses and offer space for wiser choices. Over time, these micro practices strengthen your connection so that grounding becomes second nature. You'll notice greater ease in meditation, more stable moods, and a deeper sense of wholeness. Shifting stories and beliefs. Part of reconnection involves shifting the inner narrative. Many modern stories separate us from nature. Life is about thinking, achieving, digitizing, and minimizing the body. Recognize these stories and question them. What if your body is wise, not just a machine? What if grounding is not a nice extra, but foundational to well-being? By changing how you talk to yourself, seeing the coccyx as a meaningful root, you begin to align belief with practice. You might journal or reflect. How has ignoring my root affected me? What if I honored this part? How might my life shift if I allowed energy to flow downward freely? Such reflections seed deeper openness, a simple invitation. In a world obsessed with rising higher, perhaps the most radical act is learning to descend. When you honor the base of your spine, you honor the earth and reclaim part of yourself lost in modern distraction. This isn't a quick trick, but a gentle, ongoing reunion. Each time you bring attention to the coccyx, each time you let tension flow downward, you remember you are both sky and earth. Your spirit does not float untethered. It springs from roots that anchor you to life's pulse. As you practice, you may notice subtle shifts, calmer mind, more stable emotions, a felt resilience when challenges arise. You may sleep more deeply, feel less pulled by others' moods, and find inner spaces where creativity and presence grow naturally. When you stand tall, it's no longer a fragile posture, but one grounded in the deep support of the planet, moving forward with awareness. You don't need elaborate gear or exotic rituals. The path begins with simple awareness, honoring your base as you would a dear friend. Over time, you can explore additional methods, gentle tapping, specific spinal movements, breath practices focused on the lower spine, but only when the basic connection is felt. If you rush into advanced techniques without foundation, you risk overwhelm. Instead, let your body guide you. When you feel tension, invite the downward flow. When you sense nothing, bring gentle attention. When you feel release, rest in gratitude. Communities or teachers familiar with grounding practices can offer support, but you also carry innate wisdom in your body. Trust your sensations. Warmth, tingling, subtle shifts in posture or mood indicate the channel awakening. Stay curious and compassionate. If difficult emotions surface, treat them like messages rather than enemies. They signal areas needing release and care. Root and rise. The coccyx is not merely a leftover bone. It's an energetic tail, a sacred antenna linking you to Earth's grounding wisdom. By reclaiming its role through simple awareness, posture, movement, and reverence, you open a transformative flow. Heavy energy becomes fuel for renewal. Inner storms find safe release, and your spirit gains both stability and freedom. There is no true ascent without descent. Your highest potential emerges when you stand on roots that reach deep into the planet's core. So here's my invitation. Pause now and place your hand lightly at the base of your spine. Breathe and imagine a root growing downward, carrying what you no longer need into Earth's embrace. Notice how that feels. Over days and weeks, weave this simple gesture into your life. Walking barefoot when you can, gentle hip movements, mindful sitting. Let the coccyx remind you that spirituality is not only in the light, but also in the depths. When you honor your root, you reclaim your wholeness. Mind calm, heart steady, energy flowing, and spirit free to rise without fear. If this resonates, you might share it with others who feel unmoored or overwhelmed. Together, we can remember that we are creatures of both sky and earth, and that the most profound balance often begins by looking downward, listening to our bodies, and reconnecting to the roots we were born with. May this simple practice support you in releasing what weighs you down and in discovering a steadier, more vibrant life. Root yourself and let your spirit soar.